get a thing?
Just did.
Yes.
Okay, good. Fine. Sorry. Is it still recording? I'm assuming so, right? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry about all that. Okay, let's go. We're up to Tan Vaisad Isha Tashitel, around 6-7 lines down from the top. So a woman could do her tachshitim on Chol hamoed. So Torah on Elu hein tachshitei nashim. These are what are the techniques of women? Kaicheles and pakeses and mavira srak al panel. So she puts makeup, and she puts these are different types of makeups, and she could put this srak, some sort of like mud, on her face. Ikadamri mavera srak al panel shalmata. What she's doing is she's doing sort of hair removal on the lower part of the body. So the visitor of Chisda mekashta ba'anfei kalasa. The Rav Chisda's wife was putting on makeup in front of her daughter-in-law. Yosef Rav Huna bar Chinana kamei Rav Chisda v'Yosef v'Kama. He was sitting there and said, "Lo shanu ela yalda." When we said that a woman is allowed to put on makeup, that's a young woman, right? But a zakena doesn't have that need to put on makeup, right? The zakena doesn't have need to put on makeup. So Amalei, right? So he was basically saying only young girls have that need. Older girls don't. I
don't understand. Why? What's the hava mean? Why?
Because older women are over the hill.
I mean, are you talking about how old are we talking about? But like someone in her 50s, they don't want to make their husbands, they don't want to look pretty for their husbands?
That's so that's I don't know. I don't know. That's what he seems to be learning, right? He seems to be learning that once they hit a certain age, it doesn't say exactly what age that is, but once it gets to a certain age, so then yeah, that's what he thought. Right? Yeah, you're right. If she's married, is she an almana or whatever? I don't know. But that's what he thought, that only young people care and all elders don't. So Amalei Halikim, which is a strong lashon. Halikim is like a shvua. Afilu imcha, even your mother, afilu ima deima, and even your grandmother, afilu emedes al kivra, even a woman standing on a kever. Ta'amri inchi bashishin kavashis lekal tavla rauta. A woman who's 60 years old is like 6 years old when it comes to like a 6-year-old when he hears the sounds of banging, he runs to it. So just like a 6-year-old runs to these type of things, so too a woman always needs to look good. Which again, you see the importance of women having to look good. I'm going to say there's a picture hanging here in Eliyahu Kuvik's house. You see, I don't know, it's a painting of somebody. Right? Hold on. You see that picture? See that picture? Right? Now that she doesn't look like no youngster, right? Mid-90s in that picture. There's the actual picture's in the left, right? And you see how she's, she's happy to be dressed up. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see it? Can you see it? I don't know, am I crazy with that? I'm looking at a whole shop and say, this is mamash tada. This is mamash tada. Right? That's a Bashed, that's where they put me. That's where they put me across from this picture. But that's what it is. You can't take it away from women. So that gets into the whole shayv of him. You can't deny something that's natural to them. Okay, fine. Review.
It's interesting. This is the first time that we've had that it's for them, not for the husband.
Correct. Yeah. So ultimately, you want to say it's for the husband. You're right. So that's.
No, I wasn't going to say that. It's mashma from the Gemara for them also.
That's for them. Correct. But all the women hear about during Shavim is that are only supposed to be dressed for the husband.
Right. This is not like that.
It's mamish not like that. This is mamish not like that. 100%. Right. Yeah. Fine. Good. Review dimer loy sasid. So they can't do loy sasid. Tanya review dimer. Isha loy sasid mesha nivel hula. It's disgusting for her because taking this mud or whatever it is, this lime, dye, whatever this stuff is, whatever this junk is that makes them look better, is actually disgusting. So you can't do that on Chol hamoed. Whether Rav Yehuda by what some type of mud, the ones that you can actually remove on Moed, it sounds like the other stuff they keep on their face the whole time. So that's disgusting. It doesn't come off. This one is that you wipe it off, which I think would be anything that they do nowadays. Shetefalta b'moed, that they can come off even on chalamoed. Shav we should mitzay reaction simchi lachazman. Even though right now it's painful for her because she looks so disgusting with it, but lamaisa it's a simcha lachazman for her, right? And therefore that would be mutter. So I want to ask. So we said Rabbi Yehuda hay svara. There's a Yehuda hold of this svara that if something's disgusting now, it's a simcha lachazman, but it's not Rabbi Yehuda. I'm in the Ephraim mehen of shemetza. You're allowed to take money, but you're not allowed to do business with goyim by their holidays because we're afraid they're going to thank their gods, right? But you're allowed to take money from them because that's a tsar for them. That was Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But maybe it should be also because right now when he has to pay the loan back, he's bitzar, but he's going to be happy lachazman. You can't bring any rice in chol hamoed because chol hamoed, everything in chol hamoed is tsar now in order to have simcha. Meaning you're allowing somebody to cook on chol hamoed, right? Isn't that painful to cook? I mean, some people enjoy it. This is the wrong daf. This is the wrong daf to say that it's painful to cook. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. To barbecue, right? How about just plain old cooking? Okay. So cooking is a pain, right? We'll all be minded to that. Yes, barbecuing not necessarily. Okay, so cooking is a pain, but lamaisi you enjoy the food afterwards. So we're being matter things on chol hamoed, even though it's a pain now, it's simcha lachazman. So the same thing with the makeup. All right, Ravina Amar Kusilin in Peron La'olam Meitzer. A guy by paying is always bitzar. He's never happy. A guy, we all have this thing that goyim are, cheap Jews. Unfortunately, that's what people say. Cheap. We're not nearly as cheap as the goyim. Not nearly as cheap as the goyim. Right, go through a Masech Davay Zara like that, but they talk it like that. So girls who reached their time, meaning they had puberty at an early onset of puberty, so they're embarrassed about the body hair. So Aniyas so the wealthy ones will put on mud, Ashira, and to remove it. Ashira is, the poor ones will put on mud. Ashira is and the wealthy ones will put on flour, fine flour, but nice balachim b'shemen amor. And the daughters of kings will put on oil. Right from Megillah. My Shemen Amor. What is Shemen Amor? Avuna Barchia Amor Sateches. It's Sateches. Shemen Zayis Shalei Hevi Shlish. It's olive oil that hasn't grown a third. So Tani Rebuda on Fiknun Shemen Zayis Shalei Hevi Shlish. This on Fiknun is Shemen Zayis that didn't grow a third. But Lama Sachanaisai Shemesha Esasar Umaadin Esabos. And why do they anoint themselves with it? Because it removes the hair and it makes the basar better, right? Nicer. Rabibi Havale Barta, and Rabibi had a daughter, Tafla Eber, and he put on this mud by every limb by limb. Shoko Badalan Meyazuzi. So he got, because it made her so pretty, he got to collect 400 zuz from the guy that decided to marry her. Might have things have changed, huh? Right, so but he got this pretty daughter, and then he was able to collect 400 zuz from the guy, right? So Havahi Kusi Mishavuse, right? We had this in Shabbos. Havahi Kusi Mishavuse. There was a guy in his town, Havale Barta, and he had a daughter also. So he saw that Rav Huna's daughter, Rabibi, fetched a lot of money. So he did the same thing. So Tafla Bechad Zimna Umesa. So he put the mud or whatever the stuff on her whole body at one time, and then she died. Amra Katla Bibi Labarti. Bibi killed my daughter. Right? So Rav Nachum Bar Bibi, the Shasi Shichra, Bayin Banse Tevla. Those, so Rav Nachum said the Rav Bibi, who was a beer drinker, therefore his daughters needed to do this hair removal. Right? Our daughters don't need it. So for all those beer drinkers, I don't know. What you got this thing with Havdalah, like women think that they can't drink from Havdalah because it causes them to grow hair. Maybe I don't know if that's a raya that they made Havdalah with beer, right? I don't know, but this is just that the father's drinking the beer, not the daughters. Now, does this happen? Does this happen from how do you call it, nature or nurture? Is this beer drinking happening before the conception or after the conception? I don't know. The island must be cool, late tonight. The island very quiet. The island is very quiet tonight.
It's hard to make sense out of this. What I mean, what does it mean? It seems like it's something genetic. The kind of person who would drink beer would have daughters that are hairy.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's odd.
It is odd. That's all you're going to say. It's odd. Okay. I couldn't agree with you more. Finally, we have everybody agrees with Gershon. Everybody agrees with him. Fine.
I don't know if it means for the hair part. I think are we talking about the complexion? But the hair.
I wasn't sure. But either one is not. I wasn't sure if it meant just the hair or just for the complexion. But the Maisa, either one, it's not a positive. That's bottom line is it's going to cost the father money in beauty enhancements if he drinks beer, according to this Gemara.
Yeah, but isn't it? Don't the women look more attractive the more beer you drink?
Well,
I wasn't going to mention the beer goggles.
Listen, Avi. The more beers you drink, the stomach, the more attractive the women start getting. Yes, that's what I would think. Is that where you were going? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I can't disagree.
I just wanted to show you we're not sleeping. We're good.
Okay. It's a good word. Also, by the way, you could say different. That back then, beer was date beer. It wasn't our beer. It wasn't from hops. Right?
Honey
I think
beer also, right?
It was honey beer, date beer. It wasn't.
Barley wine, as parents would call it.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if that's
making a pun on the dating.
I hear you. Fine. Okay, so let's see weiter. I thought. No, Rashi says beferish. The last Rashi on the daf says shecher megadol haseir. It does both actually. No, Rashi says both. It does both. It makes them the complexion bad, and it also grows. They also grow hair. Fine. Okay, on to now today's daf.
It could mean that if that was his drink, so his daughter drank that also. There were no alcohol laws back then. So if that was the drink they had at the table, that's what she drank. So Mamela, this is what happened.
Right here? Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so Zakti Gemara. A hedyot tyfer gedarka. So we said that a hedyot, somebody who's not an expert, can sew regularly. Yeah, and chol hamoed. Heichi dami hedyot. What's a hedyot? Samid v'Rav Yana kol sheni yochel lahaitzi malay machar b'vas achas. So basically, the way I understand this, not that I'm any from the big tailors, right? That normally when you stitch, you go in and out. So somehow you can do it where you can pull a bunch of stitches at once. If you're able to do that, that means you're an expert, and then you would not be able to sew like that on chol hamoed. If you can't do that, that means you're a hedyot. Somebody who's not able to make how do you say it? You can't make a hem, right? Meaning you can't do a proper hem. If you can't do a proper hem, which I think is a relatively easy procedure, if that's the right word, so then you're not an expert. Fine. Fa'uman machliv, and the uman makes it like a dog. My machliv. What it is that you do every other, right? I mean, you don't go straight. You don't like you jump a little bit. And Rav Shmuel Mashine Kabbalah. So you want to make it look like the teeth of a dog. So I think these are fairly similar pshatim, where it just means that you're not making even stitches. Now this comes up a lot on chol hamoed. First of all, a hem that falls, to re-hem it, the poskim say is okay on chol hamoed, because that's not. That's something that broke on chol hamoed, and you're allowed to fix it. We're talking about hemming and sewing from scratch. So it comes up a lot. I have nothing to wear, and and I ran out of this and ran out of that. The only thing I could possibly do is sew it. Can I bring it to the tailor? You can't bring it to the tailor, right? Because you're not allowed to give it to an expert. And if you do so you tell them, okay, bring it to the tailor and tell them not to sew it in the correct ways. They really that's going to happen, right? So that's the shiloh. If you tell the tailor, do it this way, make it like a dog's teeth or whatever, and then the tailor ends up doing it the way they want, is that your problem? Right? So I don't remember how we come out with that exactly, but whatever it is, if somebody's gonna sew, and really the person, you have to ask the person when they ask about sewing, well, how good are you at sewing? If you really sew very often, then you're not allowed to sew it, or you do it with a shinui. Right, but if you don't do it too often, which is most people nowadays, then it's allowed. And also buttons. right? So if you have to sew on a button, so if it fell off, then there's more mekel. But if you're sewing on a button like lechatchila, so you can't sew on that button perfectly. You got to like leave out some. I think buttonholes a lot of them have 4 holes, right? So do 3 holes instead of 4 holes. Okay, fine. Now we get into mesargin esamitas. So you're allowed to tighten the bed. So basically, what we're talking about seems like what we're talking about is a what do you call it? Like the cots, like for the sukkah, where sometimes they have crisscrossed ropes that you put either you sleep right on top of that, if you're an unfortunate soul, and if you're lucky, you get yourself a little mattress and put it on top of that. So whatever it is, so what's with tightening those up on chol hamoed sukkahs? Let's say they loosen, right? The food's very good in the first days, and you somehow those things started loosening. You wonder why, right? And can you tighten them up, right? So my mesargin or my memtchin. So what is mesargin? What's memtchin? And they're both saying in the name of Chizki and Rabbi Yochanan, mesargin shesi ve'erev. Right? You can be mesargin shesi ve'erev. Shesi ve'erev is like a cross. U'matchin shesi beloy erev. And you allow, and matchin is the shesi is one way without the other way, right? Which one is shesi is a cross and erev is down, up and down, right? V'chadam mesargin shesi beloy erev. You can do with shesi without erev. Maschin is shem hayarafim ematchay. And that's just, if it's loose, then you can just tighten it. Okay, so basically you have 2 pshatim. What mesargin is either shesi ve'erev and matchin is shesi beloy erev, and the other one is mesargin is shesi without erev, and maschin means just to tighten it up. So any it's not true. But Tani Rav Techlilu Bashol, that Techlilu Bashol said v'shaven she'en mafshilin chavolim lechatchila, that you're not allowed to spin ropes lechatchila. So Bishlam Alaman, does anybody remember in the end of Megillah we said spinning ropes in a besmerish is not allowed, right? They basically, because the besmerish was a big place, so basically you're developing new ropes. So we say here that they both agree that you can't spin the ropes lechatchila. So according to the first man domer who says mesargin is going both ways, horizontal and vertical, those are the words, right? That's what he means, that they both agree that you're not allowed to spin these ropes lechatchila. But according to the second man who says that it means horizontal, not vertical, and memtchin means that if it's loose, you can tighten it. Hashta shesi ve'erev amrit loy. This that we said shesi ve'erev you can't do. Chavalim lechatchila miboy. I need to tell you that if you're not allowed to do something shesi ve'erev, do I need to tell you that you're not allowed to spin a rope? Of course you can't spin a rope. If you can't make a bed go shesi ve'erev, then how can you go spinning ropes? So kasha, that's a kasha on that mandoma. Right? I don't remember what the poskim come out, but there's always an issue. Can you make a cross? Right? Here we keep talking about shesi ve'erev, you're making a cross, right? So people, the machmirim, when they do like 1 + 1, so they won't make a cross, they won't make a plus. They'll do like whatever. The religious people do that because they don't want to make a cross. From this Gemara's mashma, you can make a cross. No? Right?
You're not making a cross, that you're just doing it in the motion of a cross. You're not making a cross.
Well, it looks similar to a cross. It looks similar to a cross.
With the motion, but you're not.
What
are you
looks
making?
Like a cross. It looks like a cross.
Are you saying the stitching?
Some people, I once had a Swiss Army watch. A chashuv guy comes over to me and says, "How do you have a Swiss Army watch? It's got a cross. They have that red sign with the white, right? The plus." So he says, "Hey, that's a cross. It's not a cross." He says, "It's a cross." Okay, shine. I stopped wearing
that.
It.
Technically is a cross. That's the Swiss flag. It is a cross.
There are a lot of
people, St. George.
There are a lot of people in the jewelry business. They make crosses. It's a big seller.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. They won't hold it, but it's a big seller.
Lamaisa, we paskin, you're allowed to sell crosses because nowadays it's not meant for avodah zarah. Nowadays, it's not meant for avodah zarah. I think that's the popular psak.
But the watch is a problem.
No, but he was saying like it's not. He said like it's not proper to wear a watch. Okay, so shine.
So you shouldn't do it after you score a touchdown, right?
I would think for sure not. But you don't know in Israel when they score a touchdown, they make a Jewish star. Oh, no, I don't know. Anyway.
But medical areas, people have the cross as a symbol of medicine.
Right. That's with the snake. Whatever that. Anyways, okay. So kasha, fine. So over there, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak with Rav Chia bar Avin. Mi'ikol aman domer mesargin shesi beloy erev. Is there an opinion that says the mesargin is just horizontal without vertical? Vatanan Rabbi Meir Omer hamitam, the bed, once you weave it 3 batim, which is 3 squares, right? It means, so you see that Yisrael means to make Shesi and Erev, not just Shesi without Erev, which, so we have a kash on that sheet. By Mesargin, Kuli Amalei Pligi, the Shesi ve'Erev. By Mesargin, it means that it's Shesi and Erev to go make these ropes horizontal and vertical. Elaki Pligi, Bimmatchin. The whole Machlokes is by the tightening. Marsa Bimmatchin Shesi below Erev. You can do it horizontal, not vertical. The other one says that if these things are loose, then you can tighten it. So Meisvei, there's the kasha, Mesargin is Amita, you can tighten up a bed. And it goes without saying that you can be mematch. That's what Rameir holds. The opposite. He says you could tighten it up, but you can't do sirug. You don't do it at all. So so we say, yeah, meaning, so again, according to that cheetah, you shouldn't be able to do it. So we say, yes, that's true, because you could fill it up. Bottom line is, you can fill up this Shesi ve'erev with how do you say it? With like junk, not junk, whatever, like clothing, and therefore it's going to be, and you can have a proper bed. So therefore, there's no reason to make yourself do work on chol hamoed in order to tighten it up. Okay, that was a little bit of a confusing, right? Just a little bit of confusing sugya. And Taisus asked, the second Taisus down asks, he doesn't understand this whole thing. How come you don't have to do this with a shinui? You should have to do this with a shinui. It's real malacha to make a bed. To create a bed, to start making ropes back and forth, you're creating a bed. Why wouldn't you have to be able to do it with a shinui? But we'll see more on shinui in tomorrow's daf, as Hashem. Fine.
Isn't it tzarchei hamoed?
But tzarchei hamoed can't be done. They can't do. You can't do meleches uman. You can't do even tzarchei hamoed.
This is meleches uman. Everyone knew how to do this back in the day.
I know, but if it's a professional job, it's a professional job, right? Okay, we're going to see in the tomorrow's daf and the next daf, as Hashem will see. Fine. Okay, Zok the Mishnah. Mamid and Tanner b'kirayim. You're allowed to make a new oven and a kirayim. A tanner is an oven that has place for 1 pot, and a kirayim is a place that has place for 2 pots. Berechaim, and you can make like a grinder, a mill, the Moed. You're not allowed to, literally means to crush a mill betchila. Okay, so the Gemara is going to explain what that is. So my mechavshin, what does it mean to crush? Rabbi Yehuda Amar menaker rechaya. Rabbi Yehuda says it means is to make a nikur, means you touch nikur, nikur. No, that's not the exact nikur. It means you're making holes.
You scratch it.
Right, you're scratching in the grinder so that it grinds well. You don't want it to be smooth. You want it to be rough. So you make like these lines in it. That's what menakir. That's what mechavshin is. What it means is to make a hole in the top so where you can drop in that the wheat can fall through as you're grinding it. So meisvei mamid and tanner b'kirayim b'moed. You're allowed to make a tanner and kirayim b'moed v'bachla yigmar melachtem, as long as you don't do a gemar melacha. That's a Rebbe Eliezer. Af yigmar, you could even do a gemar melacha. I mean, you could even complete the job. You can do, you can be maimed a new one, and you can crush the old one. One says you're not allowed to do kibush at all. So the one that says mechavshin means to make these lines in the mill. That so you can find out by an old one, because basically these mills wear out once they crush things. So then those lines will what do you call it? They'll wear down, right? Right? Why do you have an old one for? Right? What's it going to do for you? The hole. Once you made the hole, you made the hole. What is the difference between a new one and an old one? So we say going to buy you wanted to make it a little wider. You might want to make that hole a little wider, so therefore that would be a problem on chol hamoed. fine. Rav Huna, Shamar lehu gabra. Rav Huna heard about this person, the Komanaka Rechai b'Chol Hamoed. So he was making these lines in the grind on Chol Hamoed. Amar man hai, who man hai is ischil gufei the Komachol Chol Hamoed. Who is this person who is being machal his guf, that he's being machal Chol Hamoed? So Savak Yesharim, because he held like the Yesharim holds its mutter. So meaning he wasn't being machal Hamoed. He was saying that it's perfectly fine. He was going with the opinion, holds it's perfectly fine. Fine. Now new sugya. Dorish of Chaman. Noikrin Rechayim b'Moed. You're allowed to. Yeah.
Are we just brushing past that lashon of ischil gufei?
I didn't want to.
Okay.
You caught me. I was going to say something about it, and then I said, all right, I'm not going to say. Yes. Okay. What Gersh? Okay. Say what you want to say, Gersh. Go say it's kedai.
I don't know what I want to say, but it seems to be something to do with Kabbalistic over here.
I don't know if
Machal Hamoed is Machal Laguf.
You're being machal when he seems to be saying that when you do an avera, you're being machal your guf. It's not just that you're doing something wrong. When you do something on Chol Hamoed, and l'chari means kol shekain on Shabbos and Yom Tov, that's a chilul. So you're damaging your body. That's what it seems to be.
During the week on a regular day, then you're not.
What, when you do an avera?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
I do it on a regular Tuesday. I'm not being machal my guf.
L'chari you are. I would think you are. I mean, I'm not choshed you that you're doing anything wrong ever, but I'm just saying.
We're talking about someone, not necessarily
somebody else. Yeah, somebody else. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, l'chari it does. I think you see from this that when you do an avera, it's machal your guf. That's what I think. That's what Gershon is getting at. Fine. So okay, let's see about the Dorsham Chum. Noikru Nechayim b'Moed. You could be menaker the mills on Moed. Mishum Rameir Amar Afilu Sus Sheroicha V'Lov, a Chamar Sheroicha V'Lov, even a horse that you ride on, and a Chamar that you ride on. Motor Litol Tzipernayim B'Chol Shemoed. You're allowed to cut the nails of the Chamar and a Sus on Chol Hamoed.
Why would you think you couldn't?
Because it's a malacha.
No, but it's that applies to us. Who says it doesn't belong? Why are you cutting that? Because the way it looks, or because they're being pain? It would be tzar l'chaim. I mean, it's not like they're getting pedicures.
How do you know? They probably take
better
care. Those horse races. They probably take better care of the nails of their horses than they do of.
This is a great Chol Hamoed activity.
No, I'm just saying. Like I thought we do it because it's a bizayin to Yom Tov, and not to prepare for Yom Tov perform. But an animal, why would you be doing it unless it's
Rashi says it's uncomfortable for them.
It sounds
that's what I'm saying.
You're asking why it's usher. Michael's
sounds like
asking why it's usher.
Why is it us?
Sounds like it's the same action that you would take to make the grooves in the mill stuff
These days, isn't it?
than it does to file down the feet of a donkey.
What are you saying? So
It's chiseling. It's like basically chiseling. You're chiseling. It's comparing what you would do on a Chol Hamoed for the mill work, and what you're doing for the animals.
Right. Or yeah.
Wait, for the animals is geysers, no?
It's geysers for humans too.
Yeah, but that's what the issur is here. It's also from geysers.
Yeah, you're not allowed to cut nails. The same I was saying, Michael.
Why are you cutting the nail? Are you talking about like every once a month on Thursdays we cut the nails? That's Chol Hamoed, so you can't cut the nails, or you can't cut it even if they're bitzar. Why are you cutting the nail?
No, you're only cutting it. You're only allowed to cut it because the animal's gonna be bitzar. You're riding on this horse or this donkey on Chol Hamoed, right? If it has long nails, it's gonna cause the animal a lot of tsar. The same way you're not allowed to cut a human's nails on Chol Hamoed, so you're not allowed to cut.
So you're saying you should do it before Yom Tov starts so that you don't.
Certainly you should. Certainly you should, but it's the same usher as the humans.
Okay, I didn't know.
Oh, so on to Amud base now. Aval chamra derechai eloi, but a chamra of the donkey for a mill, meaning they got those donkeys like in the old movies, right? They would walk around the mill and crush things. So those you wouldn't have to do, right? Why? Because you're really not supposed to be grinding on Chol Hamoed anyways. Yeah. And a little, meaning you would be allowed to do grinding, but only small amounts. So that little bit of grinding would be okay. You don't have to go cut the nails. It's not going to be that much pain. Fine. So these are all things that are related to animals, right? So you're allowed to. He disagreed. He said you would be allowed to cut the nails for this chamor to do it, and you're allowed to build. You're allowed to build these wood. Well, one of them is wood, and one of them is cement, right? Where the mill is put on. Fine. Rabba Shara L'Sruke Susya. Rabba allows you to, how do you call it? Comb the horse, which we're not allowed to do on Shabbos normally, right? With a metal. Rashi says somewhere with a metal comb.
Are you allowed to do that on Yontif?
No, no, because we're afraid that you can make it bleed.
So we're allowing you to do it on chol hamoed, but you wouldn't be allowed to do it on Yontif?
Correct.
I'm saying, right? You wouldn't be allowed to do it on Yontif.
Yeah, and 100%, and Shabbos too, of course, right? Ulamivne akarpita, right? That's the put the grain. It's something to put the grain on in front of the animals. Ulamivne itztava, and to build an itztava is a bench. This one's made out of stone. Fine. Rava shara lemishkol dama lebehema v'chala d'mayad. So Rava said you're allowed to do bloodletting on a behema on chol hamoed. Right. Again, these are all animal needs. So animal needs, tar b'lichayim, you're allowed to do on chol hamoed. We have a brisa to prove it. You makizin dam lebehema. You're allowed to do bloodletting on a behema. And we do not withhold a refuah of a behema on chol hamoed. And humans also, by the way, if you're allowed to do refuah and healing for animals, so you're certainly allowed to do healing for humans, right? But well visits, etc., that's maybe not, right? This is only refuah, yeah. Okay, well, whatever, we'll discuss that. Rava shari looks sesuse kirmi, right? So Rava allowed to do. Now we get into ironing. He allowed you to iron the clothing. Kirmi means clothing. Susie means I don't know what they ironed with back then, but some sort of ironing. My time, Maisa had you to it's a Maisa had you. But to do it with like pleats, right? Rashi goes through the whole description of exactly what they do, and they would some sort of pressing pleats. That would be not allowed. My time of Maisa Uman, that's a Maisa Uman. Maisa Uman who? That's a Maisa Uman, which is the way. This is the way we paskin the Maisa practical. I think the Chazon Ish did not allow ironing, but ironing on chol hamoed just to get the creases out to make it look presentable is allowed. To iron pleats is not allowed because that's already too much work. To make it look wearable, yes, but not to make the pleats. Yeah. Fine. Amar Rava, man de maskal ara adaiti de dari shari. Somebody who is taking land. He's what do you call it? He's I forgot what we call it. Like not harvesting.
Sharecropper?
No, but if he's doing it in order to grind it, right, then it's mutter. Adaita da ara also, but if he's doing it. If he's doing it in order to use the grain, then it's mutter. Adaita da'ara, but if he's doing it, picking it in order to fix the ground, then it's not allowed. Then he's not allowed to do it. Hey, Hidami, what's the case? Mulya b'mulya b'neitza b'neitza adaita debeidari shakal. If he's doing it to, he's taking the land from a higher place and putting it on another higher place, then that's filling it up. Neitza b'neitza is that you're digging in a low place and you're putting it in another low place. So that means he's doing it at daita da'ara v'asar, right? So again, mulyi b'mulyi b'neitza b'neitza daita debeidari shakal. He's taking it at daita da'ara. Mulyi b'shadal b'neitza. If he's taking it from a mound and putting it into a hole at daita da'ara, then he's doing it for the land's purposes, and then memela it's not allowed. I don't clearly understand. The one's going to go through a bunch more examples like this. I don't understand who. It's not. I mean, why don't you just ask the guy? What do you think this guy is dishonest? Right? Just ask him. What is his kavanah? What? Which is this for somebody standing by to ask him? Like, what's he doing? I don't know. Right. So we're saying if he digs it, right? And then he puts it, and then he takes, meaning he digs from a pile, and then he puts it down another pile, or he digs a hole and puts it into a hole. Then he's clearly just doing it to make a place to do threshing. Beidor, that's the word, threshing. He's making a place to thresh his stuff, and then it's fine. But if he doesn't, then he does the opposite, then it's clear that he's doing it to fix the ground, which is not allowed. Okay, fine. So this person who is, he's sweeping the ground, right? Basically, he's clearing brush. I think that's what it is. So Adaita the Tzivi Shari, if he's doing it because he wants, he needs the wood to use the wood to put under the fire to cook things, then it's mutter, because that's mutter on chol hamoed. You're allowed to make a fire to cook. Adaita the Ara also, but if he's doing it to clear his ground, then it's also. Okay, how are you going to know which one, what's his kavanah? Hechidami shakil. Hechidami, what's the case? Shakil ravervi b'shafik zutri adaita the tzivi. If he takes large pieces of wood and small pieces of wood, then it's clear he's doing it adaita the tzivi shakil. He's taking it for fire. Ravervi b'zutri, but if he's taking, I'm sorry, I said both. Ravervi b'shavik zutri. If he's taking large pieces and he's leaving the small pieces, then he's just doing it for, he needs the wood for the fire, and that's fine. But if he takes ravervi b'zutri, he's taking large pieces and small pieces, then adaita the ara. Then he's doing it for the ground's sake, and that would be also fine. So a person who is allowing water to go into his ground to irrigate his ground. So meaning basically what this is that he has a river going past his field. What he can do is he can block the river, dam it up, and then the river goes through his property, and then it goes out the other end of his property, right? So we're not sure what he's doing this for. He can either be doing this to catch all the fish, like he puts a net there, right? He lets the water come through his property. He puts a net, catches all the fish, and then the water leaves, right? But if he stuffs up one side of his property so that the water sits in his property, then he's not doing it to catch fish. Fine. If he's doing it for fish, then it's mutter. Also, but to do it for his land, obviously it's also. How do you know? Pasach trei bavi. If he opens up two doorways, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then he's clearly doing it for the fish because he wants the water to come in at his property and then leave his property, and he just wants to catch the fish that are flowing through. But if he only opens on one door, then he's doing a daita da'ara. Fine. Haiman the pashach dikla. So somebody who's trimming a tree, a decal tree, a daita de chiyusa shari. So if he's doing it for he wants to use it for food, right? He needs the branches for his animal, then it's fine. Adaita the dikla also, but if he's doing it to trim his palm tree, then it's also. So how do you know? So shakul kule mechad gisa. If he takes all the branches for his animal to eat from one side of the tree, adaita the chivsa. That's for his animal because obviously he doesn't care what his tree looks like. Mehai gisa. But if he's taking wood from either side, then adaita the dikla. And he's doing it for the decal tree, and it's also, which I don't understand. There's a mitzvah for him to make his tree look bad. He needs wood for his animal, right? So he says, hey, why should I make my tree look lopsided? I might as well take from the other side and this side. Why? He has a chiyuv to make his tree look bad? I didn't understand it. We're saying if he takes from one side, then that shows that he only needs it for his animal. If he takes them on both sides, then he shows that he needed to trim the tree, and that's why he wants it to look good. So which one is it? All right? Yeah. Fine. Okay, so I don't know the answer to that. Bama Rabba, Hani Timri Tachlani. You know what? We'll stop here because this is a new sugya. We'll stop over here. It's late enough as it is. So we'll start this important sugya in Hilchos Chol Hamoed tomorrow, but it has to do with what are you allowed to do business or not. What types of businesses are allowed, what types of businesses are not allowed. Okay, I appreciate the tuning in late. And good fun.
Thank you.
It's Yaakov. I actually, don't ask me why, but I was watching a video the other day
I'm
of
not going to ask you why.
Yeah, of fixing I think it was a cow's hoofs, and they put the whole knee, the whole leg in this like metal contraption so that obviously the animal doesn't move, and they bend the knee, and they mamish like cut with like a samurai sword. I mean, this huge knife, and they cut deep into the foot to get like all the glass, all the rocks, because it's mamish sar ba'alachayim. But these heavy machinery, like you think, like I'm assuming that they numb the foot, but it's unbelievable how they just like chop off so much of the like whatever that material is. I imagine it's not. It's the bottom of the foot. It's the white stuff. It looks like coconut, but it looks painful. But it's an unbelievable thing. I was thinking about it. You get these rocks embedded in so deep into the foot. They have to like cut off so much. I guess it grows back. I don't know. Do these things grow back? I guess it's like a nail that grows.
It's like
no?
nails. It's like nails.
But it's thick because it's like the area around. You're talking about, like I guess it's like the palm of your hand. That's how big it is, maybe bigger. And I guess it's all nail, keeps growing. Like we have nails that grow very thin down. I guess it's like, this thing looks like one big thick, what's it called? What do you call it? The inside of like, what's it called? Not a palm tree, we have it in salad. What's it
Coconut?
called? It looks like a coconut. You know what I'm talking about, Siakov? It's like that thick, what's the vegetable? It's like something palm. I forgot what it's
Hearts
called.
of palm.
Hearts of
Hearts of
palm.
palm.
That's what it looks like. Hearts of palm. This thick white thing, and it's just like you think like animals are in pain. Also, it was a very interesting thing to watch. Whatever.
Why do you do this?
Yaakov,
Yeah. Where'd you
someone
see it?
asked me that. Oh,
Somewhere on YouTube,
yeah.
where you see everything else.
Someone sent it to me months ago. Probably the same video.
That's that video, right? It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's
It's
crazy.
painful
And
to
the
watch.
amount they take off, it's not normal. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
The Farish
But
video.
Siaga, someone asked me an interesting question yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday's daf, we had Kalya Eiriv, the metal
Right.
pieces they put on the walls. And the last few psukim of today's parsha, you can't use metal in the Mishkan.
Right. So
How did they put
Oh.
these pieces